So what did you miss at Jubilee today? Well, whew, you missed a full day. You missed you missed the celebration of All Saints, and we took some time to honor a saint in our midst, Pat Lanchi, as she retired after over 10 years in the church office as our administrator and front line of pastoral care and communications hub and connector of all things and part-time wizard. So we took some time to acknowledge Pat and to thank Pat for her ministry with us. So you missed that. Pat is now officially retired, and we welcome Diane to the office and to the team, and we're excited to have her. But we needed a moment to thank Pat. You missed some great music by the choir, an anthem to just fill the soul and just moved us, and that was amazing. We blessed prayer shawls as they went out to those in need today. That happened at the end of the service. Cheryl Colford has started a prayer shawl group, and they're meeting Mondays, and that happened today. Just so many things happened, and of course we gathered at the table today. We had communion, and we had one little girl who came into communion dancing because you should. And we had some kids who wanted seconds because they know instinctively of the abundance of the table. And so they got seconds. And and we recognize that we are community together, called together at this table, called by God. Because sometimes we're not so sure about inviting God into our kitchens, to our tables. God invites us to this table. And I say that because today we also heard the story of Zacchaeus from Luke's gospel. Zacchaeus out on a tree limb, anxious to see Jesus, just wanting to see Jesus. And he's short, he's smaller than the rest, so he has to climb up. But he's also despised and disrespected in the community because he's the guy who collects the taxes and gives them to Rome, and nobody's happy about that. So we heard his story today, and we heard it the way we've always heard it. But that idea of having to reach out and onto a limb to risk vulnerability and embarrassment to engage with God. If you really want to see Jesus, you have to go out on a limb. It's kind of right there. But I also then wondered, we all wondered together, did Zacchaeus actually get what he wanted? Because he didn't just get to see Jesus. Jesus then invited himself into Zacchaeus' home, which sounds like a good thing, except that now Jesus is in your home and God is in your life, and there's no way to distance yourself, like from a tree limb, or distance yourself by going to church on Sunday and then going home and leaving it all behind you. We wondered today about how many of us really want to climb down from that tree and invite Jesus into our kitchen. How many of us really want God in our lives in such a way that we begin to question everything, in such a way that we have to give up some of our assumptions and habits and perspectives. We acknowledge the comfort that comes when we surround ourselves with people who think like we do and say the things that we like to have said. But if Jesus comes along, if God is really going to be in our lives, then suddenly there are new lenses, there are new perspectives, and we have to find a certain humility because the world doesn't actually revolve around us. Do we really want God in our lives like that? Or would we rather just keep God packaged into Sunday morning bits? Maybe a little bit on a Monday night or a Wednesday prayer group, or maybe I'll read a neat book, but maybe I'll just keep God distant and safe so that I don't have to change too much. That's the kind of stuff that we wondered about today. We wondered if Zacchaeus got what he wanted ultimately, whether what he was hoping for was a glimpse, but he ended up with transformation. I suspect that as terrifying as it was, Zacchaeus didn't regret. the moment that God came into his life in such a big way that he could never be the same. And I imagine that we might feel the same way if we were willing to also climb out of our trees or release God from the confines of Sunday morning and actually engage with God in all aspects of our life. That's what happened at Jubilee today. And if you missed it, that's okay. You can still think about these things, wonder about these things. Where is God really in your life in terms of the decisions you make, the choices you make, the way that you live? How much of God do you keep packaged to a Sunday or to a religious gathering? And when you have some answers, share them with us, will you? But even if you don't have answers, get back here soon because we would like to see you. We miss you. Until we get to see you again, God bless.